Okay, so something else I've been pondering about, an alternative for the door hinges. So, there we go. These are Tesla Model X. So still a bit more playing, and I might have to re-weld the brackets up. Normally, I think this section relative to the pivot is lower to get this hinge point nice and high. So I'll probably end up checking an original and modifying them for that. But I think this is far more preferable than you know, just welded up bits of bent steel. Well, don't know. It just feels like this will be a properly engineered solution with proper pivot points in there. Not using bolts or stuff like that for pivot points. So that, I think, that's more than high enough for them. And a kind of bonus, they come with these springs. Let's get the other side. Like under here. So this end goes over there, that hook's there. So if I can constrain this straight end, shouldn't be too difficult. Then I've got a very subtle, discreet, hidden spring mechanism. I'm not sure about that. Just something I'm playing with. More toys have arrived in the post. So this is a Model 32 tube bender. I've got 1.5" dies, 4.5" centerline radius. It's got the ratcheting bit, and it's beefed up over the smaller ones to do up to 2.5", and it's also ready for hydraulic power modification if I choose to go that way. So I've got a couple of 5-meter lengths there, and bizarrely I had some fencing that's 1.5" pipe, so I think I'm going to try doing some mock-up with that first. Also had to bolt the stand into the floor, so I've put some captive sleeves. Yeah. These things, so these have been chemically bonded into the floor. So I'll just put a button head bolt, just so I'm not tripping over things. I didn't want to glue in studs, fine on the wall, but not on the floor. Right. Also having a bit of a play. I'm being properly messed around by my fiberglass supplier, body supplier. He owes me a dash and a few other bits and bobs. So I think I'm going to have to end up making my own. Just scaling off pictures, I've put this bit of wood across, so the bottom of the wood is about level with the bottom of the dash. And just having a look at where the screen and the steering column mounts. I think I'm going to mount the column a bit higher and the screen a bit more vertical and closer in. And then I can look a bit more into all the HVAC ductwork. But as you can see, there's loads of space. But it's all interactive, so I wanted to get the cage in first. So I'm going to have an A pillar hoop, a B pillar hoop, and then some square or a rectangular box going across there for the hinges. I'll have some extra braces going down there as well. But yeah, I need the A post in before I can put a bar across for the steering column. And this temporary frame that I put in is sort of starting to get in the way. I want to build some proper brackets for the screen, so I'm not just pulling things in and out all the time. Oh well, the idea of using this thin wool fencing post just to make up a jig and practice on is not going well. It's just too thin wool that keeps collapsing. See, my second attempt is just starting to go then. Initially it's because I didn't have the bolt clamped up enough. But I tightened it up and it's just going to collapse the tube where it's clamped. You can actually just about see it's starting to squash it. Just as an aside, I just quickly printed up this little saddle marker just so I've got a reference line for the centre of the tube, so I'll mark them up before I do it. So I guess I'll have to start with the real stuff. I'll make my cheetah bar, they call it, so just like a test bend to use for measuring and mocking up. Okay, so that's my cheetah bar bent up. So that's where it goes into the outer former, which I thought would be probably a good reference. And just marking where the clamp goes, just so I know I need to keep that much straight free. I've gone a fraction over. But yeah, there's quite a lot of spring back in this. I had to bend to about 95 degrees to get it to come back to, well, that. So maybe half a degree too much. So yeah, so now I can hold that around the car and figure out where my bends can go. Oh, I'm having real fun and games with this. It's the A-post bar. Gonna need lots of accurate bending. So it goes up in the A-post like that. If you can see, it bends sort of up or forwards. So this, the one in the A pillar, needs to sort of point forwards and then go across. So that's what, another bend there. So obviously it can't actually be there because it's too close to the other bend. But I should be able to get one a bit further over instead of having one in the middle like that. But this tacked together mess is quite handy as a template. Alright, don't know if you can see that. That's the pattern for the B pillar bit of the cage. So I'm going to start off with a simpler single plane. So what I did was take that stiff paper across, traced out the inner of the seal, which should be quite a nice bit of profile to trace. I should work out roughly about the right position on the outside of the tube in there. So that created my bounds, and then just worked out all the straight bits and my bend angles and my start position with this cheetah. Okay, I'll admit to my first rookie mistake. I bent the wrong side of the line. It's just in your head, you think you're clamping the steel over there and bending it on this side, but actually it's this side that is staying still and you're bending the other side of the line. So anyway, so here's my second bit. That's my first 3 bends. So I'll do another couple, and we can see the card is sort of the roof, and I can play tunes with the height there. The main thing I want to get really good here is get that pipe really tucked in for the top seatbelt mount. But luckily, as it's an angle, I can just lift it. That's why it's a relatively shallow centre bend. So lift it up and down to tune that position, and then chop the bases off to height of my boxes when I make them. And that's the other half. Got pleased for that, my sort of not quite first attempt. It's pretty much flat on the floor. There's a tiny amount of rock, but you won't see that. It's probably straight as the body. Right, let's see if I can wrangle it into position. And fitted, well, clamped loosely in the car. Quite nice. I think it's about less than a finger between the bar and the window. And then we see here, I'll put a plate into that. That's a pretty strong structural part. What makes it maybe on that side? Have to watch out for all the wiring there. So you can see from here a bit better. Yeah, just about. Yeah. So hopefully take my learning and do a better job of the front one now.